Hey, everybody. Welcome to Untitled Collective. We're going to be doing Lancer tonight. But by way of announcements and things, we are doing actual plays all the time. And in a podcast and a YouTube content and all kind of good stuff. Let me look at our hot little schedule just to make sure I get everything right.
Busy.
This week is busy. This is a busy week. It's busy. Because tonight is, of course, Mechanized Mayhem, which is what you're watching right now. We're gonna make some characters here in just a second. And then tomorrow we have Red Markets.
Oh boy. Well, we didn't die, so it should be fine.
Right. It's fine. The Canadians let us go.
Yeah.
And then on the 9th, Friday, is Midway Madness with a bunch of folks. We've got, of course, our usual crew of Taylor running that, and Kelly and Katrina, and then Pixie and the other player's name is on Holly. That's right, and of course Blair. Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm. Just everybody. That'll be Friday night, Midway Madness, and then on Saturday is a little something special. We're gonna have 10 hours of Rich playing video games. He's gonna be raising money for childhood leukemia, and he's already hit his goal for this charity because of who he is. But we're still gonna help him raise some funds all Saturday long, and we're super excited. He's just gonna play games for like hours, and then he'll do it next Saturday and the Saturday after that too. So like he's in for like 30 hours of gaming, which is like really intense to me.
I just hope he plays more Gen Z like
dating
visual
sims.
Novel games, like dating sims, because that's an adventure that I was very happy to be on.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
It'll be so good. So that'll happen on Saturday. Just tune in. He'll be live, right? Like you just wake up and turn it on and just have it on. Just razz him, and it'll be good. And then on the 11th, on Sunday, we have I always get this wrong, but Rise of Orpheon, our D&D game run by Sam, Mr. Gunmetal, and it's mean. It's mean. It's like the meanest D&D game I've ever seen.
It's been a blast so far. I'm never sure how long you're gonna live. I've got like 3 characters backups just waiting.
Just waiting in the wings. Like just give me in.
It's like that one game of OD&D where you just one bad roll and you're just dead.
Yep. Oh, poison? Sorry, you died. Poison just kills you. There's no more.
Never try to climb on a wall if you're a thief.
Spike trap get you.
Yeah, it was great. Last week was everybody rolled me a will save, and like 4 out of 5 of us failed. And he's like, all right, you all go in different directions for different reasons, chasing after things. And it's just like the one guy that passed is like, I think I'm the one that got screwed. Like,
yes. That's awesome. So yeah, that's this is our week. So this begins 5 days of gaming. Starting right now. Be good.
Who needs Gen Con? This is your best 5 days in gaming. Next.
As long as you're okay with 1 game a day.
Normally I would agree, but I really enjoyed Gen Con.
Gen Con was amazing.
Gen Con's good. It's good.
It was so good. Well, awesome. I think with that, Ethan, I'm going to turn over to you because we have a lot of work to do tonight. We gotta get made.
It's either going to take 3 hours or it's going to take 30 minutes, and I gotta be ready to roll with either one. So we'll jump into it. So hello everyone, this is Lancer, or it's about to be. I have my Mike a la Mike R. I've got my book here to hold up and show everyone, my very lovely tome. Lancer is a I think the Mud and Lasers mech RPG with I think about 300 pages of lore to justify why there are mechs in this game system.
That's what it takes. It really takes a lot to justify why mechs.
What it takes.
Not like just tanks and planes.
Yeah,
why do you need to ask the question why mechs? The answer is mechs.
There's always
there's no why.
Some people hate fun. That's why. And so you spend 300 pages telling them why they're wrong and that mechs are right. So yeah, basically, in the world of Lancer, the year is 5016 U, which means the galactic government. One of them, Union, has been founded for about 5 millennia now. Before that, an indeterminate amount of time before humanity collapsed on Earth, we sent colony ships off as our planet collapsed, and we reverted back to, nothing. We stayed in vaults for a very long time. Eventually, we left the vaults. We forgot about the vaults. We rediscovered the vaults, and that was very traumatizing. They talk about like the 3 traumas or the 3 tragedies in the Lancer lore. And that was one of them. We discovered all these vaults in our history of having destroyed our planet once, which wasn't great. Then we found all those ships we sent off several thousand years ago, and that was also pretty traumatizing because half of them didn't make it where they were intended. There were about 3 governments between here and there, and now here we are in the 3rd COM, the 3rd committee. Everything's great. It's a post-scarcity sort of system in all of the metropolitan worlds, the ones that are within Union. No need for money or worrying about things like that. And humanity has spread out amongst the stars. We've refound our old galactic cousins who formed their own culture over 5,000-10,000 years of history. And so that was an interesting thing. And so now we have like a fun half a galaxy. I think it's pretty much limited to about 1 arm of the Milky Way galaxy that's just filled with human beings of all different varieties living out their days in space. And I forgot to mention that at some point a bunch of AI dreamed up a god of some sort, which then stole one of the moons of Mars, and now we can move through space in the blink of an eye, and we've discovered paracausality. And so space magic. And that's pretty much all you need to know about Lancer.
All right.
Space magic, mechs, AI, it's all great. And we'll dive into the more details if they become relevant. But most of that doesn't actually matter to your characters because you all are currently found on a planet that used to be pretty, important in the sort of galactic scheme of things. But then a couple giant galactic corporations started a war in your backyard and everybody left because nobody wants to be sitting on their balcony when the ordnance hits the planet on accident. Because that can happen, You shoot a bullet in space, it just keeps going till it hits something. And so you all find yourselves on the planet of Comia 4G5, which is found in sort of a system that's not immediately next to a blink gate, which are the giant sort of rings that people use to travel in the blink of an eye between the gates, right? So it's not too close. It's a little far away, which is one of the reasons why these corporations decided to start a war out here, because it's going to take any sort of governing body forever to get out here. So they bought themselves a couple decades of warfare before anybody can actually get here. It's great. Space is big and impossible to govern, but Union sure does try, huh?
That's good.
And yeah, so you all have found yourself on this planet of Comia 4G5 in this giant metro swath that covers about 15 to 20% of the planet's surface. It's a giant city. About 2/3 of it are abandoned. There is the big residential sector that you all live in, and then the industrial sector with the spaceport on the other side. And then there's just this big abandoned derelict metropolis in between. And that's kind of the majority of the planet. There's some natural features, some mining operations, some things like that on other parts, but this is sort of the main hub on the city. But you all in particular find yourselves inside the sports megaplex, which was built probably more than 100 years ago for actual fun tournament sports that didn't involve horrific deaths or anything like that. But nobody has the money or desire to worry about that anymore. And so some organization, nobody's really sure who it is, moved in and has started up Mechanized Mayhem, the galaxy's favorite illegal, unknown, doesn't exist primetime sports event. You can only access it one of 2 ways. You can either be there in person at the stadium, or there is a heavily encrypted OmniNet address that you can access from anywhere in the galaxy to get a live footage because the internet is also space magic and distance does not matter. So the OmniNet is there for anybody who's sort of technologically savvy enough to actually break into the feed. And so it's kind of amongst what we would maybe consider the deep web. It's sort of an urban legend / rite of passage for any hacker worth their salt to watch a game of Mechanized Mayhem. But you were here for one reason or another. We'll get into that in a minute. But the four of you have, by fate or what have you, been thrust together into the same team. Mechanized Mayhem consists each game of 8 teams of 4 that all struggle, and the majority of them die or are maimed beyond recognition to get to the final 2 teams of 4 that battle it out in full-sized mech-on-mech combat, which everybody loves to see. So you all are on a team of 4. You've been through the training. You've been through, sort of all of these physical activities to keep yourselves sort of in your prime, but you've never actually been in a proper show. Because, you've got 32 people, 4 of them walk out. That's a lot of turnover for contestants. Typically, you only are in one game. But your number has come up. The next game is going to be your own. And we find you all sitting in a dimly lit sort of common area that you all have sort of cordoned off for your own use. The areas for contestants are very poorly surveilled because, for reasons we'll soon find out, you're not going anywhere. So they don't really bother checking up on you all. But you all have devised over the past, let's say, few months, your escape plan, and tonight is the night that you are all going to execute it. So now let's actually make some characters and figure out where you guys are from. So tonight we're going to be using CompCon. It is a web app that someone in the Lancer community made. I don't believe it's one of the authors. I think it was just someone of the community who was like, hey, I'm going to make this thing. And it came up with this brilliant web app that makes character creation and everything like that a breeze. So if everybody's on CompCon, you can go to pilot roster and create new pilot, and we'll get started. There's only a few steps to making a pilot. The first of which is your name and call sign. So you'll have both a name and if you want to randomize that, they've got some nice little random name generators over here on the side. But then I think what'll tell us more about your character is your background. And if you click on the little globe next to that, it'll give you a list of predefined backgrounds. And there's a few here. You can come up with your own. But yeah, whenever you guys are ready, give me your name, your call sign, and where you're from. And then maybe a little bit of how you ended up in this horrible, horrible blood sport. Take a few minutes to do that.
Yeah. I think I'm here because of family. I think I'm here trying to rescue like a brother.
It's really bad.
And maybe I found out after I got here that he's been dead for like a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he was dead, but I thought, I'll just go there and get him. And like I got here and like it's done,
Yeah, which is very possible. In the world of Lancer, there are people called cosmopolitans, and they're basically people who travel across space. Not everybody does that. A lot of people just stay on their planet. Cosmopolitans become almost mythic figures because it might take them 100 real years to get from a system to another system. But for them, it's only been 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
And so you have legends on planets of, these merchants that only arrive every 150 years, and they don't age, and they're like gods because they're immortal and they bring all these strange wares to the planet. You get lots of sort of interesting stories around the galaxy from this. So it could very well be you left 100 real years ago to find your brother, only to find out that it has been far too long for you to find him now that you've gotten here.
Wow. Okay. I love that. I love that. would I still have like a different background, or is that
Yeah.
or is that
So
a
your
background?
background kind of tells us about who you are before you came here, and it also gives you something that you can actually in narrative play. You can invoke that for. You can invoke it for an accuracy. I can invoke it for a difficulty, and we'll talk about what that means. But basically, gives us some info about you.
I had like 3 ideas, so I'm letting other people say what they wanted to do. And then I'll pick which idea I had.
Perfect.
Okay, I think I have an idea. I think, and I'm not entirely sure which background works best for this, but I'm fairly certain that my guy was a part of the farming community, and he was either a mechanic or a field hand or whatever, but they were on a far enough out of reach of this farming planet that getting help wasn't always gonna happen quickly, and so he they had to learn to fend off pirates by themselves and whatnot, and come up with their own version of a mech, whatever, from the working mechs that they had for whatever. And I think that they got pretty good at it, and then he'd get loaned out to other folks to make a little bit of money, and now it's cheaper to he make money and send it back home by fighting. However, so this is how he's in it. So I'm not sure.
It's kind of up to you. You can pick. Let me see. Do they have one? Colonist could work. If you're just on like a little colonist on the frontier, that's sort of a relatively far out planet, or just a mechanic, if that's your skill set. This is really just picking some sort of like flavor for where you come from, as well as giving us some stuff to pull from for just whatever you do narratively.
Okay. So what is can you explain the far field team? Like, so I know that because that's from working on the far edge, but I don't know if that's really like a.
Far field teams are kind of more like Star Trek, if that makes sense. You're boldly going way out into the middle of nowhere to kind of like, hey, what's this weird planet we just found?
I think I'm just gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with mechanic. He had to put together his own mech and fix it that way. So I'm gonna go with that one.
There's some fun talents you can pick later to back that up. They're really cool. I have to make sure. I don't know that the one I'm thinking of is from the base book, but you can get up to some interesting stuff as a traditional mechanic type.
Awesome.
I think I'm gonna go with Spaceborne as my background. This kind of like grew up in a tight confined space station, watching like, I don't know, maybe it's a fuel depot for like nobility and celebrities and stuff like that, but my family was down in the bowels of the place, kind of thing. So something along those lines would feel pretty good.
Yeah. Sounds good. I mean, I've heard people use the super soldier background to justify why they have like cat ears and claws. So the sky's the limit.
Sweet. I love it. I love it. So maybe I'm like especially like long and gangly, like I've got like when you develop in 0G or in free fall, like I don't know, your stuff just gets longer. And you're like kind of tall and gaunt kind of thing.
You stretch out, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, for sure. What you got, Lewis?
I was thinking either like being like a politician, almost like former politician turned like, what is it? Like outlaw or something. But start like kind of like with the noble background and just be like a politician family and just be stuck up and kind of an asshole.
So another thing you can do is in the setting of Lancer, there's a section of space called the Karakin Trade Baronies, and you can think of that kind of like Dune. There are like these noble houses, that do stuff, and they actually have like their own sort of mech fighting sport that's more like gladiatorial wrestling. That's very like honorable knight mechs that fight each other and wrestle and stuff like that. So there are lots of noble houses out there that you could go for if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, something like that.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Cool. So
What you
that gets rid of 2 of the 3, so that's perfect.
got? Perfect.
I'm gonna go mercenary.
Mercenary. Sounds good.
I'm gonna
What
be
were
the
your other 2?
fighter.
What were your other 2?
I specifically said I usually do the talker shit at fighting, the fighter exact opposite of the talker, or mechanical/scientist, which we have 2 of those things.
Yeah.
It
Like
was
they're-
fate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So
good.
it looks like I'm Punchy McPuncherson today, but with a gun, probably.
Oh, I would say also worker could be a good one for you, Mike. Just up to your preference, because workers are like just miners and farmers and things like that. If you want to be a little more
Yeah,
basic,
I
but
could
mechanic.
totally do that if you really wanted to do the mechanic and not be the fighter. It's up to you.
Both work just fine.
Yeah.
We'll get to. Let's actually. Here, I'm just gonna
That
pick
was directed
one.
at me. It's like, who are you talking to? And I'm fine with being a mercenary. It's fine.
Okay.
I
I'll
had
go
no
ahead and say-
I had no favorites over the 3. Those are the 3 I usually go for.
Yeah, I'll pick some stuff just for my display thing. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick some skill triggers. Basically, Lancer has 2 modes of play. There's narrative play, and then there's mech combat. Narrative play stays pretty loosey-goosey and is, as it sounds, narrative. So think Powered by the Apocalypse, Forged in the Dark type systems. And these narrative or these skill triggers, you're going to pick 4 of them. These are just things that your character gets a little extra bonus to do. And notice that they are very like, they can be pretty broad. So one of them is literally survive. So anytime you're doing something that would, test somebody's ability to persevere through a tough environment or something that's, just, it could be a low atmosphere planet. It could be, toxic gas spewing into the room, whatever. You get a little +2 to your roll to that. And those actually can go up to +6 later on, but for now you pick 4 at +2, I believe. Yeah, and those can be like being sneaky, staying cool, invent or create, whatever, what have you. And yes, once you've picked your 4, go ahead and hit me with them. And also some names if you've got them. We haven't got those yet.
I don't know who this character is yet. I can't give her a name without knowing who she
That's
is.
fair.
I
We'll get to the
absolutely
end.
know my character's name if you're ready for that.
Absolutely.
It is Ernest T. McGillicuddy.
Ernest T. McGillicuddy. I feel like that's a reference to something that I don't understand.
I don't know if it is or not, but it's ingrained. There used to be a joke my dad told about Ernest T. McGillicuddy, so that's who we're going with.
That's fair enough. What is Ernest's call sign? What do they call him when he's
T?
T?
They asked him one day, and I think someone assumed that the T was it, so it just kind of stuck. So it's just TEE, all caps.
Gotcha. Excellent. Let's see. I'm taking notes here.
Yeah, I don't think he ever actually thought about a call sign. It's just they assumed that's what it was, and it's how it goes.
Yeah, they're just filling out the forms. Couldn't bother to double check, kind of situation. Does anybody else have a name or some skill triggers or something like that?
I'm gonna go with blowing stuff up,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
I think get somewhere quickly. I
Mhm.
think those 2 are related.
They could be. They very well could be.
Is it 1 per section, or you can pick?
You can load up on all of yours from the same one. It's up to you. It depends on how well-rounded or specialized you want your character to be.
Gotcha.
What did I even put for mine? This character is a medic that I am just putting things on. So I'm going to, go for maybe patch, read a situation. get a hold of something.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with hack or fix, and then word on the street.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's my other skill trigger.
I'm going with act unseen or unheard, assault, read a situation, and take someone out.
Nice. That is, I get a very good idea of what your character can do based off that. That's yeah.
So I have a name
Yes.
and call sign too.
Perfect.
Yeah, my name is Wilhelm Creedon, and then
Wilhelm, what now?
Creedon,
Reed. Okay.
and my call sign is Rockbreaker.
Rockbreaker. Nice. That's what we got.
I'm kind of going more like talking, like charm, and like threatening people in a way. Just kind of getting the talking points through.
Maybe a little leader inspire.
Fair, that might work too. The name is Sheldon Bushker the Fourth.
Sheldon, what?
Sheldon Bushker the Fourth.
That nobility,
you-
man. The nobility.
Bus-
You always get the weirdest names. It's like the most regarded. And you're like,
Busker? What is?
Busscher. That's what he fucking gave me. Okay.
What was that again? BUSS?
Yeah. Yeah,
Bus-
BUSS. Is it Buzz?
CHER.
Bruce?
Boucher.
Boucher? Yeah.
I like the idea that your family is a famous family of like buskers. And you like
They were known as the finest minstrels in all of the Carrick trade baronies until they rose to prominence by, committing atrocities against another house and taking their place. It's just kind of
And the call sign is Flamingo.
Flamingo. That one's fun.
That's awesome.
I love the stuff that comes up on the on like the random generators. So the creators actually posted on the Twitter a while back that was like, hey, can we just get these slotted into the like random name generators? And it was just a bunch of paint names.
yes.
Like they make excellent mech names and call signs.
It's so good.
I think I've got my my skills. I think I'm going to go with apply fists to faces. So I think it's going to be a definite upfront and attacky because I think that ammo is expensive, and if you're punching people, you don't have to pay for ammo.
Good beat. Yeah.
Then I think I'm going to go hack or fix because obviously, and then maybe invent or create.
Yep.
And then I think I'm going to go get a hold of something. It says acquire temporary or permanent allies or assets or connections through wealth or social influence. I don't really think it's like wealth or social influence. He's just got a group of people like he knows about, he knows some, we swapped some shine with that guy, and then that guy we got from, and he needed a bucket of bolts, and I'm going to need, that guy's leg, but we're going to get,
Makes sense. Yeah. Very much, video game fetch quest. It is a trading chain of 16 people, but you eventually get what you need, right? Okay, cool.
Fetch quest. Solid. Math trade.
So next up are talents. So talents are really important, and it might take some time to read through all of them. They give your pilot there's sort of what separates you from just your everyday mech pilots, right? Because you guys aren't just mech pilots, you're Lancers. And Lancer is a title that is, I believe like an official military title, but it's also one that you can just earn. Like maybe you're a mercenary, maybe you're just somebody who's really good, but you're the best of the best.
Is it like getting knighted by the queen?
It's similar. If a group of like 1,000 people could just look at you and say, Now that's some Lancer behavior. And then you were a Lancer, kind of like that. Yeah. It's more just like a reputation more than anything.
Yeah.
But it could come from, rank in the military, getting knighted by a baron or something. Like it comes from a lot of different places. And yeah, there's a lot of ones in here. A lot of these apply very well to mech combat. So you might be looking at it being like, oh man, what's up? But just kind of pick the ones that you think sort of fit your character's abilities and their strengths, right? There's one that I don't believe is in here, called like Black Thumb, and it lets you actually like rodeo on top of your mech to like fix stuff. Like you climb out of it mid use, and stuff like that. Which I know everybody's like, I'm gonna jump out of my mech and jockey another mech. That's a terrible idea. You can do it though. I'm not gonna stop you, but I'm just gonna let you know you'll get smeared. But the Black
I feel like
Thumb,
that's something John would take.
for sure. Oh, well, I have it on mine, but I have all the other rando stuff in here. But yeah, the Black Thumb one's cool because when you get out of your mech, it gives you a shield where the first time you get hit, you don't take damage, which is very useful if you're a pilot. Because otherwise, you get smeared. But yeah, there should be quite a few in here.
Does it make sense for us to like kind of talk about these a little bit so that they are working well together? Or
if
like
you want to do
doubling
that
up is okay.
So I will say, being a diverse crew is going to help you once mech combat happens. But there's some talents you can double up and it's fine. But I think as a general rule, not having the same ones would probably be, at least not having more than one that's the same with another person would probably be a good idea.
Okay.
So yeah, if you pick one that you really like, you can go ahead and call it out just so everybody knows kind of what you're going for.
I want crack shot, please.
Sweet. I want siege specialist.
Oh, fun. And yeah, you're reading that right. There are a lot of sword-based talents because mech swinging giant swords is definitely a thing. It's not all guns around here. I think there's a couple in here, Mike, that you might want to look at, like engineer, and I think there's one that is
Grease Monkey engineering.
Grease Monkey.
I think I'm going to take Brawler because I think that fits, and then I'll take at least one of those two. I just got to figure out which one I want.
I also do want to point out to everyone, Nuclear Cavalier is pretty fun because you can eject your fuel rods at people later, which is pretty cool.
That seems like a really bad idea for everybody not inside of a mech. Just from like the air.
It's cool because you clear some heat and they get exploded. It's a win-win. But yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea of some of the things you're working with your mech.
How far down these skill trees do we go? Do we just get the first level?
I think you just get the first level of each one for now.
Okay.
You can swap things around when you level up, but I think the sort of what they would prefer for you to do as far as game design goes is start with, one in each and then kind of don't mess with that too much because otherwise you can get access to some pretty intense kind of stuff at very low levels if you start stacking your talents too much.
Sure.
I want the ability to one-shot someone right now. What the fuck?
Come on. I want to one-shot every mech.
One-shot every mech.
There's
one.
I would like the Nuclear Cavalier if nobody else is into that. Like the Siege Specialist and Nuclear Cavalier, like those are right up a demo dude's alley, I think.
Mm-hmm. So this is cool too. So the one you'll get, so just the first rank is what you'll get for this. So, for example, Nuclear Cavalier, aggressive heat bleed, the first attack roll you make on your turn while in the danger zone. The danger zone means that your mech's heat is a half or above.
Okay.
So it deals +2 heat on a hit. So you hitting people is going to make them start to overheat.
Sweet.
Lancer kind of has a few resources that your mech has. You have, like, of course, HP, but then you also have a heat cap. Being in the danger zone actually lets you use a lot of abilities, but be careful because your reactor can also explode, which will turn your mech into a giant piece of wreckage. And the other thing is, like, you have electronic defense because people can make tech attacks as well as regular attacks. So just kind of, it's a little bit of a balance game, but you can totally, there is a mech that actually has swords that get bigger and more powerful the higher your heat is. So, like, the game gives you that, there's the ability to really focus up on that and just go wild with it. So yeah, what's everybody's talents?
I have those two. I'll wait until people have picked other talents.
I think I'm set on what I want.
Okay.
Like bonded, leader, and tactician.
Cool. Yeah, bonded, leader. Yeah, those are all really good and they work well together. So for that one, you have to choose another pilot to be bond mate.
Mm-hmm.
So who would you like to pick and why? Who's your Huckleberry?
It's hard.
So you have your, like, noble character. Who do you, and I mean, somebody can volunteer as well. Like, who do you think gets along best with this very fish out of water noble that's here, but somehow doing very well?
I'm sure my character is used to working with rich people if she's a mercenary.
You know, I'll probably do. Yeah, that probably works best.
Yeah.
I'm taking Crackshot, Infiltrator, and Gunslinger.
Nice. Just picking some.
I am going to take Engineer, Grease Monkey, and I'm going to take Brutal instead of Brawler because I think that it's more about the fact that, you know, brawling is all nice and great and getting up in the thing, but it's more about putting them down so you can move on to the next project. And
yeah, that one's good because you do max damage anytime you crit, which is, it's very nice to have. Very cool. Okay, is that everybody?
I have one more to do. What about? Okay, I'm kind of of two minds right now. I'm looking at Drone Commander, or at Lunge, to have, like, somebody with some melee in the party.
Yeah.
Some bladed melee.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's definitely odds are at least one enemy you fight is going to have some up in your face kind of melee stuff. So if
I guess it's Hunter is the thing. Is the name of it? Hunter is the name of the tech or whatever it is.
Yeah, the talent.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's like a Knife Juggler is also a super fun talent if you upgrade that one later. Just any of your auxiliary melee weapons you could throw them, and they come back at the end of the turn.
Oh, sweet.
So you're just, you're just a knife tossing mech pilot, which is really fun.
I did pick my name.
Did you pick? What do we got?
Rosalina.
Rosalina. Okay.
She will not give a last name. And her call sign is Alarm Bell because of how quiet she is.
Nice.
I can't take credit for that one because it was not my suggestion. I'm messaging Fen asking for suggestions on call signs.
All good. Yeah, that's cool. All right. So once you have picked your talents, the next thing that we're going to pick are your mech skills. So when you're outside your mech, you're going to use your skill triggers and things like that. When you're in the mech, you have mech skills. Mechs have 4 stats. They have hull, agility, systems, and engineering. Hull is basically like how beefy your mech is. Agility is how fast and evasive you can move. Engineering is dealing with your heat and the physical stuff of your mech. Systems is more about hacking and things like that. And so you have 2 points to put, and you'll pick kind of the 2 that you want to focus on. And you can see what they actually increase as well under them on CompCon. So hull will give you a little more HP, a little more repair, agility, evasion, and speed, etc.
I'm gonna go hull and agility.
Do you have to pick 2 separate ones?
I don't think so. Yeah, no, you can pick 2 of the same.
I'm gonna go hull and engineering.
Makes sense.
I'm just going all agility.
Also works. Yeah. Very cool. And then after that, you should get to the final screen. You'll hit register new pilot. And then what I need you all to do is to click on the little like sprocket over on the side, get share code, and then post that in the Discord chat for me. It should give you a little... If you don't have an account, you might need to make one. I didn't think about that.
Is it generate stat block? Or
Okay, so if you're not seeing share code, you have to... there should be a place to like sign in.
Oh, okay.
To CompCon. I forgot that was needed for the share codes. But basically that just... All that does is it stores everything in a cloud server so that you can have all your stuff.
I have an account and I don't have a share code. I have an export pilot.
Check that it's up to date. So if you go to the home page, you can check for updates because they did change the way some of that worked pretty recently.
Okay. So I can like download updates and reload.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Sprocket.
Get share code, and then you'll click on like generate once you have it. I should be able to import. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I had to go to export pilot data and then pilot share code. Boom, got it. And then I'll copy it to you. Is that the play?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I've used this a few times in the past, but they've updated it since then, so I'm hoping everything is still working like I think. But if everything works, I should have like all of your info. Here, I'll see if it works. Oh no, that is not what it is.
Wait, try mine because he put his name in front of his. So did you copy the name as well?
No, I didn't copy the name as well. Can everybody see what I'm sharing in the call?
Mm-hmm.
So it should be, you should have an option get share code here, and it'll be like a short code.
Nope.
No.
Print, clone, generate stat block, CompCon, vault record, cloud management, export, and delete.
Okay. Well, we will figure this out between now and the next one. Huh?
Okay. Easy peasy.
What is the activate?
There's a CompCon vault record. Share this pilot sync data with other users.
Ooh.
We'll figure. Let's see. We can play with it, but we can also figure this out before next time because I don't think I'm actually going to need access to it this time. But very cool. I'm going to stop clicking around on things with my stuff on. Is my stuff on stream? I think it probably is.
It is. I can
Make sure my password doesn't show up.
You are no longer. Your stuff is no longer on stream. So
Okay,
now you can.
cool. Let me double check really quick and see.
Oh, I got it to work.
You got it to work?
Yeah.
Oh, at the bottom.
Bottom.
Oh, at the bottom left, there should be something that says like connected or not.
Oh yeah, the home menu.
On the home menu.
Let's see if I
Oh
got.
yeah, it says I'm connected.
Okay. Let me see if this works with Lewis's code. How did you get yours to work, Lewis?
I just hit the cog. Did it come up or?
Oh yeah, import Flamingo.
Pilot roster.
It's very cool. We'll see how well this works. But,
All right. So pilot's fault code is this gnarly thing.
I think the vault codes are outdated. I don't think they use those anymore.
Oh.
Now it's like a shorter. I think it's like six characters. It's a share code. We can troubleshoot that later.
Okay.
But for now that we have some characters, we've got some stuff. Let's talk about making some mechs real quick.
Yes.
So in your pilot sheet, up at the bottom, actually, you should have dossier, narrative profile, bonds, tactical profile, mech hanger. Maybe not the bonds. It depends on each of the most up-to-date version. But you're going to go to your mech hanger and then add new mech, and we're going to build some stuff. Also, you're good to put my share screen back up if you want.
Boom. Share screen.
Yeah. So when you go to add a new mech, you have one choice. I believe you all just have one choice for a frame, the GMS Everest. In lore, GMS, or General Massive Systems, is kind of like the generic brand. They make parts that fit everything. They do a little bit of everything. You can kind of get whatever you want out of a GMS mech, and all the parts are compatible. There is no canonical design for a GMS Everest because it can look like whatever you want it to look like. I've had people make theirs look like a giant Pokemon. People make theirs look like a wolf of some sort, your typical bipedal Gundam looking thing. It's up to you. And of course there's a name. The one that I randomly generated was a Dangersome Inheritance. So the mech name generator is powerful. It is not to be trifled with.
Question.
Yes.
Can I make my mech look like a 2012 Honda Accord?
If the 2012 Honda Accord is attached to a mech body a la Megas XLR, then you can. But you do.
It is actually like 30 tons worth of metal.
Yeah.
So it's the same frame and shape, just scaled way up.
But yeah, you can take plenty of liberties with what your mech looks like. But I believe one of the conclusions from the lore of the book is that people drive mechs and they pilot mechs because they wanted to see themselves in their arms of war, and they wanted to see humanity among the stars. So they created these mechs that are vaguely humanoid and things like that to show that. So if everybody's on their mech page, I think you have to open it up after you generate it. You have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of stats. It's pulled all of the things about your pilot into this because that affects what your mech can do. But if you scroll down under mech attributes to equipment loadout, You will have mounts that you will put weapons in, and then you have systems. And basically you'll be using all of your points in systems, and you put one thing on each mount. Basically there is a heavy mount, which will carry big heavy weapons. And you'll have to kind of click through a little bit to see what each weapon counts as. You have a main mount, which just carries large or auxiliary. I think it can hold main or auxiliary weapons. And then you have a flex mount, which can also hold main or auxiliary type stuff. So you have different sizes, and basically just pick the 3 things that you feel mesh the best with the kind of play style you have in mind. There's everything from a heavy charged blade or a heavy melee weapon, heavy machine gun, thermal lances. It's kind of up to you. If you want to think of it in like a D&D manner, a thermal lance is like casting lightning bolt. It's a big line of F you. But it also deals heat. So like keep all those things, like whatever systems you kind of had in mind using when you were picking your talents and things like that, keep those in mind as you're picking your stuff. And then systems, there's a ton of stuff in here. You can get like a flight module onto your mech so you can fly around. You can get a custom paint job. If you have a point left over for a custom paint job, I highly recommend it. It's my favorite meme of a system. Basically, whenever you take structure damage, so when you run out of HP, you roll a d6. If you roll a 6, you go back up to 1 HP because it just scratched the paint. And you get just this sick paint job. Personalizations is also a really good catch-all one. It gives you 2 extra HP, and you basically get like one minor modification you made to your mech. And you can, anytime you're making either a pilot or a mech skill check, you can get +1 accuracy. So it doesn't really help in combat so much, but if you're making skill checks and things like that, you can say like, oh, well, I, installed an extra intake, which is going to help me on this hull check to like lift this very heavy door because I have like some extra venting or whatever, and get some extra juice in the engine. And it can be as ridiculous as you'd like it to be.
Oh my god!
Somebody rode a whole motorcycle.
My bad. Fucking got the shit in my pants.
There's also stuff like deployable cover, smoke charges, hex charges like grenades and stuff like that. And you can also get a CompCon class assistant unit, which is a companion concierge. So, and this bears explaining because in the world of Lancer, there are AI and then there are NHPs. AI are artificial intelligence. Think like Siri on steroids. Basically just a really complex computer that has like a user-facing personality, quote unquote, but they don't really think for themselves per se. NHPs or non-human persons are artificial minds that have gone a little bit beyond what we really understand about computers and how all that works. In fact, the God Ra that was just generated by a bunch of AI is sort of the upper echelon of that. NHPs are kept in caskets, these like big boxes, basically, that house them, and they are what's called shackled. Where they basically have limiters put on them to keep them from thinking themselves beyond the scope of like human understanding. So it basically keeps them grounded to where they can interface with humans in a way that's normal and understandable to everybody. If an NHP casket gets damaged, if things like that happens, they can cascade, which means they start breaking those shackles and thinking beyond and beyond and beyond. And they essentially become indifferent to humanity. And if they find that you being alive is suboptimal, then you may find yourself under the foot of your own mech. So install them at your own risk. And basically they enter into space magic after a certain point. But NHPs are just a fountain of lore and mystery and intrigue in the world of Lancer. Very cool stuff. Yeah, so what is everybody thinking for their weapon mounts or their systems or anything like that?
I think I figured out my weapon mounts.
Cool. What you got?
Here's the question. The integrated mount is just listed as prototype weapon. You don't get to change that?
So basically you decide what that prototype weapon is, and it's always there.
Okay.
That's like a special thing
so
from
cool.
your talent.
That's so cool.
That you basically have this like prototype weapon you've developed that you've installed into your mech.
Awesome.
And I think if you click on it, it might be on the talent page, but if you click on it, it should give you some specifications of what that can look like and how that works.
Okay.
But the fictional details of it, totally up to you. You've made your special weapon.
Cool. Okay. So I got a prototype weapon. My main mount is a shotgun. Heavy mount is a heavy charge blade. And my flex mount is a mortar.
Cool. Yeah.
Because there's no, we're going to lay down, we're going to call in some rain, and then we're going to charge in there. Nothing is accuracy here.
Gotcha.
Mine is main mount is assault rifle. Flex mount is the Nexus Hunter Killer.
Fun.
Heavy mount is the heavy machine gun.
Excellent.
System
I
is
love
the turret drones.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There's a
And
theme.
did that, have you used all 6 of your system points?
I don't know.
So under systems, it should like start telling you can't pick things after you've picked too many, but you basically have 6 points, and each one takes up a
4
different
to
amount of points.
6.
Yeah, so you can probably pick like 2 more points worth. And if you're just like, I don't know, I always recommend personalizations or paint job to finish off those points because they're basically free. You know, it's just there. You don't have to think too hard about it. Let's see what else we got.
What is the difference between the flex mount and the main mount again?
So the main mount, that's a great question actually, because they do seem to overlap a little bit.
Right.
I think I'm pretty sure they're functionally about the same. I can look up really quick what the stated difference is, but functionally they can both hold main or auxiliary weapon.
Okay. I mean, I can use them interchangeably, or is there?
Yeah. We'll talk about kind of how the action economy works with using your different stuff on a turn. But in general, I think you can only fire a weapon on one mount. Like you have to use different mounts when you fire your weapons. I'm pretty sure. So if you want to dual wield your pistols, put them on. You have different mounts for those.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm going to, review all of that stuff myself before next time. But
I want to do okay. Then I think I know. Oh, because there's like a auxiliary. I guess you get to have 2 of a thing.
Oh, that might be. I think that is flex mounts might be able to hold 2 auxiliary weapons.
Okay.
And a main weapon. If I'm not, I'm trying to double check. Let me see. This is an extremely thorough index.
Yeah.
So flex mount can either take 1 main weapon or 2 auxiliary weapons, but
Okay.
the main mounts take 1 main or auxiliary. Heavy mounts 1 heavy main or auxiliary. Then there are also aux mounts and main aux mounts that take 1 of each type. But flex mounts basically you could do different stuff with it.
And if I have 2 auxiliary weapons, can I have both of them in hand at the same time, or only 1 in hand at a time?
think you can use. I'm gonna double check on this because that more comes from the action economy, like what you can do with, like, say, a barrage or a skirmish.
Right. That'd be awesome. Because here's what I'm looking at right now. All right. Main mount, mortar.
I see there's lots of things that are going to be exploding from distance.
I went for demolitions guy. I had to get a demolitions weapon.
Right.
Flex mount, a pair of segment knives.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, oh, cool. If I can have both, that'd be like stabby, maybe.
Yeah. And then if you upgrade that talent to knife juggler, you get to just toss some puppies.
Right. Bam. Right. Exactly. And then my heavy mount was going to be an anti-material rifle.
Yes. Agreed. I agree.
It was at the top of the list. I was like, oh, that's what I want. I want the things go away. And I think the segment knife is the one that like gives heat to the other people. So
yeah,
we'll see. And I have that ability that also lets me give heat to other people. So I want to just like I want to lean into
you're gonna be. It's fun because there's multiple sort of methods of making other people's stuff overheat. One is hacking them. Mm-hmm. You're taking the more physical route by just saying, "Here's all this heat from my reactor. Take some, please.
Please. It is yours. It is. It's free. It's free. Giving it away."
I took the Jericho deployable cover and the Type 3 projected shield.
Sweet.
So super fast. Also have protections. Also have lots of guns.
Yeah, so the projected shield, that you'll basically pick an enemy. You can't shoot them very well. They can't shoot you very well because there's just a big shield in between you. So it's good for if you don't want to deal with somebody, you just put that up in between you, and then
I'm not talking to you right now. Shoot their guys.
Talking to your buddy. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'm seeing that the thing with the mounts is basically if you barrage, in addition to your main attacks that you're doing, because you choose your 2 weapons, you can also attack with an auxiliary weapon on each mount that was fired. So if you use your flex mount and you use your main mount, you can also attack with that other knife that's on your flex mount. It just doesn't do any bonus damage. So like basically you get like a little bonus.
Gotcha. So it'd be like, so is it conceivable then to do like the mortar shot and then also stab somebody who's next to me? Is that what that is?
Yep.
That's hilarious.
If you're engaged though, it'll be a little tougher to shoot far away or shoot a ranged weapon because there's like a whole thing about being engaged. But we'll get to that when we get there.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'm down for that. And if I need to like switch stuff up, I saw that mortars could also be in the heavy mount, and then like. Mm-hmm. And then I can just have like blades in my main and augs, and that'd be kind of interesting too.
Yeah. Very cool. What's everybody else working with?
I decided to take like the turrets and shit, and I kind of just wanted dual wield pistols.
Do it. Really it. Do it. Yeah. Sounds cool.
Like a major dickhead in my mech.
That's how most people play the game, as far as I'm aware. Is just how do I make this the most annoying thing to fight on the planet, which is amazing.
I took the con class assistant unit because he likes to talk to his back. And she likes to talk back. I then took smoke charges because, you got to get in close to these people. And then stable structure because I don't think he likes getting knocked over. So
makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
I think I'm going to go back to my character, though, and change it back to Brawler from Brutal. So
fair enough. Yeah. This is also a game I think every time you gain a license level, you can like reconfigure stuff anyway. So this is definitely a game where they, in fact, it's one where when we get into mech combat, it encourages metagaming for you to learn like this enemy is a berserker type. They do these things, and you save that knowledge for next time. Like it actually Sort of not like D&D where it's like you should not know any of these monster stats going into it. They want you to learn all of the NPC stat blocks basically over time. So if you've picked your mounts and your systems, that's pretty much it as far as the stuff that's on you. You also have some frame traits. You'll see some of them are once per scene. So basically, if we have a scene where you all are doing like it's basically narrative play in a mech, you can use it then. But also once we get into mech combat, you could use that. There's like once per scene, and I think there's like once per session and stuff like that too. So, and there's some other traits you have, and also a core bonus or a core power. You can activate your core system. Basically, you're only meant to do that about once per mission, is the idea. The one for the Everest is that you get +1 accuracy on all attack checks and saves, and then once per turn you can boost as a free action, which lets you move a little more. So you get your hyperspec fuel injector, which is very cool. But yeah, so we have mechs. The only thing you'll want to do now, return to the mech hangar, and then hover over your mech, and then click the little power button over in the bottom right of the little menu that shows up, which will set it as your active mech. Because you can build as many of these babies as you want, but you only get to take one on a mission in general.
Okay, I do have one other system to talk to you about.
Mhm.
I was thinking about like a personalization.
Yep.
I was thinking some sort of like trajectory calculator for the mortar. So it can like help me like auto calculate all the Atmos stuff and those sorts of things I would need to know in order to like accurately fire the thing.
Yeah, let me double check. So, so the mod helps on a pilot or mech skill check. So it's not going to be an attack roll or anything like that. It's going to be, and skill checks and mechs use one of those 4 mech skills. So it's either going to be a hull check, an agility check, systems, or engineering.
Okay. Well, then how about the personalization is like little like winglets or something, so I can like get a little extra boost on the agility.
Sounds good. Yep.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, those are more not necessarily out of combat, because you can do a skill check like in combat if you're like, I'm going to lift this door so everybody can escape, you know. It's like, okay, that's a whole check. You don't roll an attack roll against the door necessarily. Things like that. But yeah. Okay, does anybody have anything else on their mech to talk about or to
I feel like my armor is too low because I see it as it's a 0. How do I not have a how do I not have a 0?
I don't. There might be some systems that give you a little armor, or that's more of a like a frame thing. Certain frames later on.
Yeah, mine's at 0 as well.
Yeah.
Because armor takes off damage.
Yeah.
Like off the top, kind of. It just reduces incoming damage.
Yeah, sure. All right, fair enough. I was just saw that. I was like, I'd like that number to not be 0, but okay.
You probably have what, like 12, 14 HP, depending
14,
on what you picked. 14, yeah.
Can I just make it very clear that my custom paint job is hot pink?
Absolutely. Otherwise, why would you be flamingo?
Exactly.
I thought it was a given.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as that goes, you could have a very tasteful mural of flamingos all over your mech, like
just be like a giant flamingo on the back.
Yeah,
just like clear as day, like a fucking
very
wings spread.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like it's like, you know how there's all those like nice.
That's what I want to know. Where is it like strategically located?
The beak, it goes onto like the charge blade sheath.
There you go. That's good.
Not pulling a flamingo.
That's good.
Awesome.
So my last question, this is just like play to GM. My hope is to like be able to do both segment knives. So if that doesn't work based on where I place them, is it possible for me to come back later and like move stuff around on mounts to make sure? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check all that kind of stuff because that's like I've got the broad gist of how this combat stuff works, but that's something like that's why it's a 2-shot, so I can study that kind of stuff. But yeah, I got a couple weeks to double check all the little minutia of the combat because there's lots of little details that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can use. So if you had them on 2 different mounts, that'd be fine for like a barrage.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with the barrage, you can attack with an auxiliary weapon that's just attached to a mount. So you can always you got a little bit of flexibility of how you want to place them. For example, the one that I had, my flex mount is a pistol and a segment knife. So I can shoot my pistol and then go behind with that segment knife and get somebody up close. So
That's good.
Is the idea there. Okay. So everybody's got their stuff going. I think other thing is you're going to choose your pilot gear, and that is on the pilot sheet narrative profile at the bottom, gear loadout. Basically that consists of armor, 2 weapons, and 3 fun items. Notice that the different hard suits and stuff adjust your evasion and electronic defense and speed outside of your mech. So you might get a couple armor, but you're also going to be pretty easy to hit, right? If you go for the heavy hard suit, for example, your evasion's only a 6. It's not the number you want it to be. There's also like a stealth hard suit that lets you turn invisible and stuff. So like all those are fun to do. Yeah, they keep this pretty loose as far as what it is. It kind of takes a similar stance as like Cypher System, for example, where you've got like light weapons that do a couple damage or whatever. You got heavy weapons, medium weapons. The gears where things get pretty fun, because you can get, for example, the HSC Sylph Undersuit, which is the Venom symbiote that you just have a Venom suit. It can protect you from vacuum, which is nice. So yeah, you can get a lot of interesting stuff from this. Personal drone and Omni hook, so you can always connect to the OmniNet. It's a giant backpack though, so just be aware of that.
Oh my god. I see the mobility hard suit and I think Titanfall. Yeah. And I must not select it.
This is actually a little beyond Titanfall. You can actually fly.
Yeah, like legit fly.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just a few options to pick there. I'm almost more interested. One, if you have signature weapons, what are they? Because there's like signature is an option over there. And then if you pick any interesting pilot gear, I'd love to hear about it. Because there's some wild stuff in that gear section, and that's just straight out the box. You get to have that.
Awesome.
And this is also something that can change. Like if this were a campaign, every mission you repick this stuff. So it's like you can fit the mission.
What's our first mission?
Escape.
Okay, cool.
Survive gladiatorial combat and escape. It's kind of the scenario that we're in. And then once we get all this gear, I think we'll go to a break really quick, and then we'll come back and jump into actually like play in the game and see if we can get you guys to mech combat by the end of the night.
Ooh.
I'll show off the battle map to be all spooky. I got it off the so if you guys like Lancer, this game community has a one-stop shop for just about anything you could want, and that's the PilotNet Discord, which I'm pretty sure the links for that are all over Lancer stuff. Mm-hmm. They have spreadsheet on spreadsheet of maps, art, missions, modules, more mech manufacturers that people have taken the time to make, all that kind of stuff. And because you can just install new content into CompCon, it makes it really easy to be like, I really like this homebrew mech manufacturer, and I can also use it with the official tools without a lot of headache. So it's pretty cool stuff. And last I checked, it looked like they were running like 12 to 16 games / campaigns or something. That section of the Discord was popping. So it's pretty intense over there. That's one of those Discords that I have to have muted, or else I would never sleep because the notifications are continuous.
Yeah.
They never cease.
Everything in me is fighting myself not to take sound system right now.
Sound system?
I just want to be able to listen to music.
Oh my god,
Oh
that's
my God.
awesome.
I was fucking having the same like dilemma. I was like, do not take that shit.
Just get an internal speaker as I listen to like rock music or I don't know,
Okay.
classical or rock while destroying people.
Another good reason to do that, it also gives you better comms. You know, you've got crystal clear comms. You've got your podcasting mic to talk with your fellow pilots.
That's right.
It's like, we can hear you actually really loud and clear. What kind of fucking mic do you use? Oh, it's for my podcast, but we don't have time for that. We're being shot at.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, I'm looking at the sleeping bag, and it's like, you think, oh, silly, right? Then you read down, you can climb into your sleeping bag, gaining immunity to burn, protection against vacuum, and enough air to last an hour.
Oh my God.
But you can't do anything except later leave the sleeping bag. Yeah, there's stuff like data plating, which is basically like giving yourself a built-in heads-up display. Because that's, you don't have to wear a helmet to get that. And they can also translate nearly any language and allow people to communicate with each other silently.
I went with sound systems, data plating, and a patch.
The patch, probably a good, first aid. So, what is your patch? Just like, is it more of like flex tape, or is it more like flex seal? Like, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's flex seal because flex tape doesn't work.
I don't know if any...
I don't know. I've seen YouTube videos, but it's just gonna be like a spray foam.
Yeah, the spray foam, cool. Yeah, the meta gel type stuff.
And for pilot armor, I went with the assault hard suit. Weapon was just light AC because nothing else makes sense in pilot weapon. Archaic melee, which was like a dagger, I guess. A very pretty dagger. It probably was a ceremonial dagger, but it's just a dagger right now.
It might have a couple, not necessarily. Is that rust, or is that something else kind of on it, sort of deal? It's well loved, well used. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I took a heavy signature.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely some sort of a blunderbuss type weapon. So whatever gets shoved in there fires out.
Perfect.
And
just superheated shrapnel basically is what comes out the other end.
And archaic melee because he's got a crowbar because you have to have a moving stick. It's a big crowbar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a personal drone because he's got to have a buddy, Roscoe.
Yeah. Do you have your like CompCon installed on your drone as well?
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but I like it. Go for it. I will say you do probably have to pilot the drone yourself or set it into like follow mode, but you can have the little Siri installed. David, what you got?
So I was thinking a medium signature weapon. Sorry, mobility hard suit, because
of course
I feel like I have to. And then a medium signature weapon. I want it to be like a little SMG size thing, like a briefcase gun. Like it looks like a briefcase, but I press the button and like the gun comes out, right? And it's little SMG that shoots like little I don't know, explosive C4 rounds or something like that. Like they don't
Yeah.
do a ton of damage, but they're explosive damage wherever they go.
Right. Yeah.
But
can
yeah,
do that. You can
it
change
looks
the
like
damage
it looks like a suitcase. So he's just like walking along and like he knows where to press the button to release the gun. Like it doesn't fire
almost
from within
reminds
the
me-
suitcase.
It almost reminds me of the like what is that SMG that shows up in Call of Duty? It's like the Vector or whatever that's really like boxy and blocky and you almost like
Oh, yeah.
fold it out from a rectangle.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have I sent you like the Gucci bag, like unfoldable SMG?
Oh no! So this,
amazing.
all right, I'm cribbing this specifically from Ghost in the Shell, the movie.
Mm.
There's this moment in the opening scene when these like security guards, they're all suited up like businessmen, and they get wind that there's something coming, and like they press a button, and their briefcases fall away, and in their hand is a little SMG, and it's like dope,
cool, yeah, absolutely.
And then just a light AC, like a hidden ceramic knife kind of thing that he can just like pop out if he needs it.
Very cool
kind of deal. So that's the. I've gotten that far. I'm digging through the gear because my God, there's so much gear.
There's lots of really funky stuff in there, and it's all very like flavorful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Does anybody else have pilot gear to share? How many sound systems do we have in the crew? CCR blasting in the
I think I'm the only one that took it. I have to decide what kind of music.
I ended up taking it.
You didn't?
I also did.
Oh, sweet.
The practicality of it all, like I had to take a flex suit just because you don't have to eat or drink for a week.
Right.
I mean,
that's
and he's modified
his
it slightly so that the ambrosia paste that he does, just always tastes like beef jerky. So he's always good.
Dude,
I'm
going the opposite. I'm going wilderness survival kit.
I just want to listen to my music while shooting things. I haven't decided what kind of music yet.
I love like the info skin. Let you just change the color and texture.
I was looking at that.
It's wild, and the camo cloth is cool. Yeah, there's a bunch of wild stuff. And like in extended play, you can actually get extra gear as like reserves and stuff in between missions, where it's like everybody for this mission gets camo cloth because I went out and I know a guy, I found somebody kind of deal. So yeah, you can end up with a lot more gear, but that goes on tactical profile later. But
what is an omni hook? It looks like tactical. Is this? It says like almost every crew has one. So is this like we kind of need it so we can have like tactical stuff?
I would say if you didn't want to get one, just because you guys are all in like a pretty contained area for this particular mission, you don't have to get one. But basically, the omni hook is like a mobile antenna that connects you to the OmniNet, which is the internet on steroids.
Okay.
It's the reality light, like rules of physics defying internet that connects anybody who has access to it instantaneously.
Oh, you know what? We're going to forgo the patch. We need the Omni hook because Ernest needs his stories. I mean, you spend a lot of time in these mechs just waiting.
Oh my God.
You know what? And if he doesn't get his wrestling, then there will be hell to pay, sir.
That's so funny.
Yeah, sounds good. There's also the corrective, which will save somebody if they're about to die. Not necessarily needed, but could be useful. I don't know how much trouble y'all are going to get into.
I have kind of an off-topic question now.
Yes.
By that logic of like watching wrestling in the mech, is there like showmanship style, like WWE, like mech wrestling, like full on?
There is absolutely WWE style mech wrestling. Somewhere in the galaxy, right? If you name it and humans love it, it exists, because there's literally a whole like the solar system that Earth is in, for example. It's called Cradle. now. People don't have any concept of like money or, you know, the need to like work. It's literally like this post-scarcity utopian society where people just do stuff because they want to, and if they want to be a professional mech wrestler, for example, they can do that. Nothing's stopping them. So there's like tons of like art and creative pursuits and things like that happening as well on Cradle, and really in most of the metropolitan worlds.
That's awesome.
My mech
So, yeah.
definitely is going to have a luchador mask. Just not painted, like an actual mask.
Just go get the holographic one, so it like just projects a luchador mask on you.
What is that?
No, like actual.
So
mask.
even when they remove it, it's still there, right? Like
the prozo collar.
Yeah.
I just imagine it's like the size of like a hot air balloon. Like
No, I went Wilderness Survival Kit, Thermite Charge, and data plating.
Sounds correct.
Okay, sweet. I feel like I can do some very interesting things with all of that, and that'll
For
feel
sure.
good.
And a lot of this is narrative dressing. You know, it's like, I want to do this thing. It's like, okay, can you do that thing? It's like, yes. Okay, cool. You know, so, and if it's like super comes in handy, it can even give you an accuracy on a check. You know, if it's like, I'm going to use my Omni hook to look up this thing right now, it's like, cool. You definitely are going to have a better shot at that than somebody who doesn't have an Omni hook. So, okay. Any other character creation stuff before we jump to a break for a little while? Is everybody more or less good to go?
I'm trying to think.
I'm good.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else that
I'm good.
I need to do.
All right. Well, we'll cut for 10-ish minute, 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll jump into some narrative play. We'll figure out where you guys are at, what's happening, and all kinds of stuff like that.
Awesome. See y'all in 10. Hey, everybody. We are back. We took a quick detour to figure out a couple of things. So sorry for the delay, but we figured out how to update our things. So now like a bunch of technical stuff on the CompCon pilot sharing thing is working for us now, which is great.
It makes you feel like a mech pilot to dive into the dev tools and fix a website with your bare hand. Just reach barehanded into the guts of that website to fix it.
You grab that service worker by the throat and you throw him out.
I'm sure, people who know anything about web development are like, you basically just put two different size Legos together. But, I don't often do that kind of stuff.
Yes, look, man, Duplo and regular Lego, it's a marriage that does work, but it is an unholy marriage, okay?
You add in some Lincoln logs, you got yourself a party.
No, that is not allowed. Straight to jail. No trial, straight to jail.
Cool. So we could actually just start playing the game now. We've made characters, we've made mechs. It's time to jump in.
This is awesome.
I turn to a certain page in my Lancer book. And anyway, I'll find that in the book later. But let's return to where we were. All of you are sitting in this. I imagine it's like some combination of like concrete and Durasteel and just that like bowels of a stadium type construction. And what you're sitting in is more or less just a cube of a room, blank walls, nothing at all, and you've set up a little makeshift table out of some boxes because this is essentially your planning zone for your great escape, because all of you just have decided that we're going to be competing tomorrow. There is a 4 in 32 chance that you will survive, any one of you, because only 4 people survive these games of 32, and maybe that's not the odds that you want for your life So y'all have been working on sort of this escape plan for some time.
And we're the only 4 pilots that are in the know. It's kind of
right. You're the only ones that know about your escape plan. You've done this preparation. Maybe other people who aren't competing tomorrow. I don't know how you all have devised this plan or the steps you've taken to make it happen.
My character is probably just like in the background listening to other people talking. It's like, that's stupid. This is what would happen if you did that. Just like randomly interjecting.
That's how that's how it is. That's how it is. When your lives are on the line, you don't mince words.
If you do it that way, we're gonna die. Well, you're gonna die probably because I'll be faster than you. So I mean, if you want to do it that way, that's fine. But we all need to survive. So.
Right. So yeah, basically the way, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, the way I see it, your plan's got a few key parts to it. One, they're keeping you all in here somehow. There's not a lot of surveillance down here. They really don't do much to keep you all in the facility, but you're all still in here for some reason. And because of that, you all have found a way to deactivate that. So that's one key element. You've also found a way to make it to where you can take your mechs outside of this facility, because you're going to need those to escape, because you're not going to get very far on foot. 3, you found a way out. You, of course, at some point will be in the arena fighting. You have found an exit or a way to create an exit from that arena. And I mean, those are really the main 3 parts. And there might be some details here and there. But in sort of this series of kind of heist movie style flashbacks, we can kind of get a little narrative play it and see kind of how are you all trying to go about getting out of this situation. I mean, what are you all doing? And I have set up here, because this is a thing that they've introduced with the Carrick and Trade Baronies. They've introduced clocks into this game, because clocks belong in any good role-playing game.
Yes.
I have a clock set up on my end of how much prep you need to do to be successful. And anything extra that you do just might get you some bonuses down the line. So, so whoever wants to, just give it a whirl. What are you guys doing? And sort of narratively, we're sitting around this like plan, and as you know, we sort of focus in on each element of your plan. It's kind of this flashback happening of you making this happen. So who has an idea? I'm going to throw you guys into the deep end here. Who's got?
I think first things first.